Why do we perform bad habits? And how can we break them? You have done multiple actions in your life that you consider either good or bad. If it's good, you might probably do it again. But if it's bad, you might also slip and want to do it as well. You are aware of the health risks associated with regularly consuming processed foods. You are aware that doing nothing but lounging around the house and watching endless episodes of your favorite shows on Netflix or playing video games is likewise unhealthy. The negative effects of smoking and alcohol use on health are obvious to you as well. So the issue is, why do you keep doing things you know are bad for you? Why not prevent unhealthy behaviors if you are aware of their negative effects? In this video, I'll break down the reasoning behind your negative behavior and offer advice on how to break the cycle. So, let's begin. This is Chris. Chris enjoys watching Netflix most of the time and using social media, much like any other teens. He also loves to get together with his friends on the weekends to smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol. Chris, though, is also driven by a desire to establish himself professionally. Now, Chris here isn't stupid. He is aware that his lifestyle choices have undesirable consequences. But why, then, does he waste his time on weekends aimlessly playing video games and going out with friends when none of those things bring him any closer to his goals? He knows he should avoid his vices, but he can't seem to stop giving in to his urges. One of the reasons is that humans did not evolve to postpone satisfaction, but rather to prioritize actions that provide us with the most immediate advantage. Our predecessors spent their days responding to various dangers, establishing shelter, and securing food. It felt sensible to put priority on those that would provide us quick benefits. What may possibly occur in the future was of little concern. So when our ancestors discovered food, they devoured it immediately. You won't hear them say, "Oh, I'm on a diet right now. I'll free that prey today and seize it tomorrow." No, it would not make sense from a survival standpoint, as tomorrow was not promised. However, in this present time, we no longer have to spend hours seeking for food or evading predators. Today, we inhabit a delayed return environment. Essentially, it might take months or years before our efforts bear the desired fruit. If we do well at work today, we will be paid in a few weeks. If we begin practicing yoga every day beginning tomorrow, we will likely not notice any mental improvement for months. However, despite the fact that the incentives in a modern world are delayed, human nature has remained the same. Our minds are still built to place a higher value on things with an immediate return than on those with a delayed return. And the thing about bad habits is that the benefits are instantaneous, but the costs are delayed. In the coming years, smoking and drinking might kill Chris. But in the present moment, he enjoys them. Netflix and social media surfing may squander years of Chris's life, but they provide him with an instant gratification. To our mind, an immediate reward is more valuable than one that is only possible in the future. Although our negative habits may appear detrimental, they are not intended to be such. We engage in these undesirable behaviors because we crave them. However, our brain did not evolve with a special impulse to consume alcohol, check Facebook, or get drowned in countless movies. These desires are only the representation of an underlying motive. On a deeper level, individuals consume alcohol in an effort to decrease tension and anxiety. Some individuals watch Netflix to escape the physical world. And they play video games to kill boredom or to socialize. In other words, our habits, regardless of whether they are positive or negative, are simply modern responses to ancient demands. Without any type of advantage, we would not conduct these actions. It just so happens that some of these practices have delayed repercussions. Smoking may temporarily relieve stress, but it is detrimental to your health. Netflix may let you escape reality, but excessive viewing might harm your eyesight. Video games might be soothing, but they are notoriously time-consuming. However, because these repercussions are so distant in the future, it is considerably more difficult to break harmful behaviors. And because they offer us certain benefits, we cannot just eliminate them and be done with them. If we do so, we will have some unfulfilled needs. Therefore, basic counsel such as simply cease those habits is ineffective. But after you comprehend all of this, the procedure becomes significantly simpler. You see, your existing habits are not always the best way to tackle the challenges you confront. They are just a technique you have learned to employ. After all, there are several approaches to the same fundamental problem. One individual may discover that smoking helps them relax. Someone else learns to reduce it by exercising. The same yearning, but a different and far better remedy. And this is one of the most effective methods for breaking bad habits. Better options are being substituted for them. But it's not quite that simple. First, you must determine which cravings your unhealthy habit satisfies. Does it reduce stress? Perhaps it alleviates boredom. Most of the time, it is not immediately obvious, and it will probably require some hard thinking. However, if you realize what value your habit brings, then you can look for its replacement. This is how Chris began his journey to replace his bad habits. First, he compiled a list of all the habits that were preventing him from achieving his objective. In his case, mindless Netflix binging, a lot of online surfing, and excessive weekend smoking and drinking on the weekends. Second, he determined what caused these tendencies. Chris discovered that he watches Netflix when he has nothing else to do. When he was bored, he surfed social media. And on weekends, he went out to parties since that was his way of interacting with others. Thirdly, after some investigation, Chris discovered adequate substitutes for his desires. He concluded that if he had nothing else to perform, he should learn how to play the guitar. Additionally, he committed to exercising or performing yoga every time he felt bored. He also began seeing his friends for lunch or a cup of coffee in order to maintain his social connection. Chris continued to experience the same desires as previously. Just recently, he replaced bad solutions with alternatives that fit with his objectives. Now, while this may sound straightforward, it's far from it. Chris also had to face other challenges. Because his bad habits were automatic, he still found himself unconsciously performing them, even if he knew about an alternative solution. Therefore, he began customizing his surroundings to make his bad behaviors difficult to accomplish while making his positive ones simple. Chris's conduct was greatly influenced by his environment, as is the case with everyone. The remote for his TV is always visible on the couch, so Chris hid it in the closet, in another room, while he removed the batteries and put it in another room. Instead, he put the guitar near the couch. You might think that this wouldn't work. After all, Chris could always just drag the remote and batteries back from those rooms and watch Netflix. Sure, it's only a couple of minutes of work, but he would have to get over this extra obstacle he set up for himself, and it worked wonders. Instead of automatically grabbing the remote and watching like he usually did, this extra hurdle allowed him to rethink his behavior. And because his guitar was already waiting there, that made his decision to practice and learn the instrument much easier. The same was true of Chris's social media usage. However, he was unable to simply conceal his phone because he required it for professional purposes. He instead optimized it such that it would benefit him. He deleted all social media applications. He substituted them with links to articles and downloaded an application for digital books he wished to read. Certainly, he could still access social media using his web browser. However, this created an additional obstacle to overcome and prompted him to reevaluate his actions. Consequently, he chose a simpler alternative that was already available. By manipulating his surroundings to work in his favor, Chris dramatically increased his chances of succeeding with habit change. And you can do the same. Chris also had trouble because his replacement habit didn't give him as much pleasure. Not yet, at least. So he had to come up with a way to keep himself going with his new habits. He decided to get himself to do things by giving himself rewards. After practicing and learning new chords, he bought his favorite snacks as a reward to himself. This encouragement made him like playing the guitar more. He not only got what he wanted, which was to feel good, but he also got something to look forward to, another reward. Chris's habits were also more fun because he kept track of his progress. He put a big calendar on his wall so he could see it all the time. He put a big check mark on the day every time he did his new habit instead of his old one. A few days later, he made a chain of check marks. And as he kept doing his new habit, the chain got longer and longer. This made him want to keep going because he didn't want to break his streak. This habit tracking was especially helpful on days when he didn't feel good. Chris forgot about all the progress he had made when he was feeling down. His habit tracker showed him how hard he had worked in the past. And the empty square in the calendar gave him the strength to keep going. Making progress is a great way to keep yourself going. When you can see that you're making progress, you're more likely to keep going in the same direction. Plus, it gives you a little satisfaction right away, because putting that big check mark over the day is a reward in and of itself. Bad habits are hard to break, and it takes time and work, but mostly, it takes persistence. Many people try to break them more than once and often fail before they finally figure out how to do it. That's because it gets harder to break a habit the longer you've had it. So you might not get the results you want right away, but that doesn't mean you can't. So don't get down on yourself if you fail the first time. Instead, figure out why you didn't make it, learn from that, and use what you've learned to not make the same mistake again. Don't give up on yourself. Keep on trying until you make it. After all, Rome wasn't built in a day, was it? If we helped you with this video, then give us back the favor by liking the video and subscribing to this channel. In this way, we may reach more people who have bad habits.